All right, Shalom, Israel. Thank you for coming together for another Sabbath lesson. Happy Sabbath to all the brothers and sisters out there today. Today's topic is going to be titled The Devil Seeking Whom He May Devour. It's going to be based around 1 Peter chapter 5 and verse 8. So let's read the introduction. So the introduction. Shalom, Israel, and thank you for gathering together for another weekly Sabbath lesson. Today we will get the understanding from the scriptures on how the devil goes about to destroy the righteous and what we must do to combat his many attempts. May the Lord add a blessing to the reading of his holy word. So we're going to start out in 1 Peter chapter 5 and verse 8. So 1 Peter chapter 5, and we're going to be reading verse 8. And it reads, "Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour." So the scriptures is telling us first to be sober, which can mean a number of things. Let's click on the word. Let's get the definitions. It says to be discreet, to watch, be calm and collected in spirit, be temperate. It says also to abstain from wine or anything that can impair your mindset. It's not only talking about drugs, sort of say, but we've talked about that, understand that. But let's go into also other things that can cloud our mind, which is things like worrying about worldly things, pretty much. Those are things that can cloud your judgment and will be on your mind, and you won't be watchful. You'll be so worried about these things. Maybe it's paying bills. Maybe it's trying to get a car that you are coveting. Maybe it's your job is stressing you out. It's a number of things that can impair your mind or be on your mind and cause you not to be sober. It also says to be vigilant. So vigilant, it says to wake, be watchful, to give strict attention, to be cautious and active. If you read A there, it says to take heed, lest through remission and indolence some destructive calamity suddenly overtake you. So this is what we're going to be talking about today. We need to be sober, have a clear mind, and we need to be vigilant, meaning we need to be cautious and very careful, because your adversary, meaning your enemy, the devil, is like a roaring lion. He's walking about trying to devour you, trying to seek who he can get to go off course. So we got to be careful about that. The devil can come in many forms. So we're not just talking about one particular person. It could be your own people could have a devil on them. Of course, your enemies, according to the nations, could be devils and try to get you off track. So you just want to be aware, and we're going to talk about the many forms that he may come and when he'll come to seek you out when you're at your lowest point, when you're weak, when you're vulnerable. So let's go to Matthew chapter 26, verse 41. Matthew chapter 26 and verse 41. Still in the New Testament. And we're going to get Christ speaking. So it reads, it says, "Watch and pray that ye enter not into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak." So he said, watch and pray. So not only do we need to watch, like he just said, be vigilant and be sober, have your mind clear, but you need to also pray. Because these are the things that's going to help you to enter not into temptation. Now, you're going to be tempted anyway, because we're going to go into scriptures about that, showing you that when you come into this walk, you have to prepare yourself to be tempted. This is That's how it's got to be in order for us to prove ourselves and to prove worthy of the kingdom. But he says to watch and pray because there may be some things you may be able to avoid just by doing that. But you ain't gonna be able to avoid everything. But it's certain things that you can probably stop from happening to you if you're watching out for it and praying that the Most High deliver you from those things. Because it says the spirit indeed is willing. Remember, we had a lesson about spirit versus flesh. Anybody that's walking in the truth, of course, the simple fact that you're trying to keep the commandments and you're keeping the laws and commandments now, is showing you that your spirit is willing. Something is inside of you saying, I want to do right. I want to keep the word. I want to get the kingdom. So your spirit indeed is willing. It says, but the flesh is weak. Meaning we have to fight that battle constantly, like we said, on a day-to-day basis. That's why it's important for us to build our spirit up to where when those temptations do come, that our flesh will not overcome. The spirit will win that battle. So Christ said, watch and pray that you enter not into temptation, because the spirit is indeed willing, but the flesh is weak. So let's go to 1 Maccabees in the Apocrypha, chapter 12 and verse 9. If anybody has questions, stop and ask. If we have any questions online, you can send them in, and we'll get to them as they come in. Questions and/or comments. So we're going to read 1 Maccabees chapter 12 and verse 9. It says, therefore, we also, albeit we need none of these things, that we have the holy books of Scripture in our hands to comfort us. So for us, being Israel, we know that we have the Scriptures in our hands to comfort us. That's what they're there for. They're there for comfort, for peace, for refuge. It's what you're supposed to go to when you're going through maybe a time of where you're battling something in your life. You use them to comfort others also, not just yourself. You know, if you're not going through something, you probably know somebody that's going through something. So you're going to use these scriptures that the Lord gave us to comfort yourself and one another. So moving on from that, let's go to Sirach chapter 4 and verse 20. Sirach chapter 4 and verse 20. Sirach is also called Ecclesiasticus in your Apocrypha. So chapter 4, verse 20, it reads, observe the opportunity and beware of evil, and be not ashamed when it concerneth thy soul. So it's telling you, observe, meaning be on the lookout, like we've been saying, watch for that opportunity and beware of evil. You got to know that evil is around you and that at any moment it could strike. Don't have your guard down, because if you do, that's when it's going to take control. And you have to be able to understand and know some of the things that maybe you're weak at. And so you got to be not ashamed when it concerneth thy soul. If it's something that is going to help you, don't be ashamed to, don't let your pride get in the way of you being on the watch for evil, being aware for evil. For example, if you know, like if you're in a marriage and one of the persons is, let's take the man for example, he's the head, but say you may have a what is it? Let's say you have a problem or an issue with money. You're not good with money. It's okay to say, all right, I'm gonna let my wife deal with that. I'm gonna let my wife be the one to take hold of the finances, because I mean, I'm gonna end up spending all my money and being dumb with it, and then I'm gonna not be able to take care of my family. I'm gonna be in a position where I'm gonna put us all in a bad situation, and you letting your pride stand in the way. So don't do that. It says, be not ashamed, concern thy soul. You gotta be honest with yourself. You know yourself. So observe and be aware of that evil. Let's go to 2 Corinthians 13 and 5. The book of 2 Corinthians chapter 13 and verse 5. So this is Paul speaking to the Israelites in Corinth. So he says, examine yourselves, whether ye be in the faith. Prove your own selves. Know ye not your own selves, how that Jesus Christ is in you, except ye be reprobates. So that's one of the best ways, like it says on the lesson, to kind of beware of that evil. Like we just said previously, you got to know yourself. So examine yourselves and test yourself that you're in the faith, that you keep the laws. Because at the end of the day, your salvation is up to you. Yeah, we can help each other out. That's what it's for. But you got to be honest with yourself too. So you have to examine yourself whether you be in the faith and prove yourself, meaning show that you're worthy. And if you're not, you got to make the necessary steps to get to that point. Because this is a marathon that we're in. We're trying to make sure that we get that prize at the end, but it's not a sprint. So you gotta be patient, but at the same time, be making those necessary steps. Don't be putting off from day to day, thinking that I got time, because you really don't know how much time you got. Let's go to Job. Job chapter 1, and we're gonna start at verse 6, and we're gonna get some. Sorry, let me see what's going on here. So Job chapter 1, verse 6. Satan trying to take you off course. Just to show you that how he operates. So Job chapter 1 verse 6. It's going to read. Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them. So you got the sons of God that came before the Most High, and Satan also came. And it says, the Lord said unto Satan, whence comest thou? He's saying, where you coming from, Satan? So Satan answered the Lord and said, from going to and fro in the earth and walking up and down in it. So that's what he's doing. He's constantly going up and through the earth trying to find people to devour. He's trying to deceive the masses, which he is doing. Because remember, the Lord has let him loose for a time. This is his time on earth where he's pretty much he's reigning on earth right now. So he said, again he said, verse 7, and the Lord said unto Satan, whence comest thou? So he's asking where he coming from. And then he answered and said, I've been going to and fro in the earth and walking up and down in it. Just like it said in 1 Peter 5 and 8. That he's like a roaring lion. He's going around just trying to see who he can devour. He's like, okay, I got this brother over here. He keeping the commandments. How can I catch him slipping? It's just like these evil fools you see today that's trying to get somebody, catch somebody slipping. People that's out there trying to hit licks or whatnot. They're trying to find somebody that's on top, that's shining. And like, all right, let me catch. How can I catch him slipping? Where can I catch him at a vulnerable state? That's how the devil works. So verse 8, it says, and the Lord said unto Satan, hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and upright man, one that feareth God and escheweth evil. So the Lord asked him, he said, did you consider my servant Job? Because remember, in verse 1, he had described Job as a perfect and upright man, one that feared the Most High. So again, verse 8, and the Lord said unto Satan, hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and upright man, one that feared God and escheweth evil. So showing you that that Satan is going about, he's trying to seek and devour. He's finding He's trying to find righteous people to where he can break you down. Because when the evil ones, he already got them. So there's no point in even waste your time on them. He trying to get the ones that's doing right. He's trying to get them on his team. He trying to get people to switch over. And as you can see, also the Lord is the one that's in control at the end of the day. If you read more on that story, you'll see the Lord gave him permission to go ahead and try Job, saying, "All right, go ahead. I know he gonna hold it down for me pretty much." He said, "But you can't touch him though." He said, "You can touch the things that's around him." First, he told him, "You can touch the things that's around him. You can take his riches, his this, that, and the other that's around him, but don't touch him." And you know, you got to read that story of Job, and it'll go more in depth on that.
But wasn't he the one who had like his family, his kids died?
Right. He lost everything.
He lost everything.
Job lost everything, and then at the end gained twice as much more
than
what he lost. But that's a perfect example of somebody you should read of
obedience and faithfulness.
Exactly how he was obedient, even in the times of when he didn't have. Even when the people around him was telling him, "Man, you need to quit believing in that God."
His friends and his wife told him to curse God.
Man. So you gotta be mindful of that also, because you also got, like I said, the devil works through in many different avenues. He knew Job was gonna be at a weak point, so he was trying to say, "All right, let me see if I can get him." He going through the wife. "Oh man, you need to curse God." He like, "Man, you crazy. I don't care what I'm going through. I'll never turn away from these laws."
He uses crafty devices.
That's right. He is the king of craft. He's a deceitful person. That's what devil means. It's a deceiver. So let's go to another example. Luke chapter 22 and verse 31. Back in the New Testament. Luke 22. And we're going to be at verse 31. 31 and 32. So it reads, "And the Lord said, Simon, Simon, behold, Satan hath desired to have you, that he may sift you as wheat. But I have prayed for thee, that thy faith fail not. And when thou art converted, strengthen thy brethren." So Simon, which is Peter, Simon Peter, that's who he's talking about. He's saying, "Look, man, behold, Satan is desiring to have you." Peter was one of what?
One of the disciples.
Right, he was one of the apostles, one that followed Christ. And so he was saying Satan's trying to get you, and you got to be aware of that. He said that he may sift you as wheat, because if you ever sifted anything, the dirt and the wheat, the stuff that falls out. He said, "But I have prayed for thee, that thy faith fail not." So Christ is with us. He's saying, "Look, I'm with you. You got to be with me." He said, "But I'm with you if you're doing it right, and that way your faith fail not. That way your belief doesn't die. You don't turn away." He says, "And when thou art converted," when you've changed, when you've gotten over, he says, "Strengthen thy brethren." So look, once you go through temptation and you're able to overcome, now it's gonna be your turn to strengthen the next brother or sister. So this showing you another example how Satan is going around. He's trying to devour the righteous. He tried to get Job, tried to get Peter, he tried to get Christ, which we're gonna go into. Tried many brothers. Some, a lot of, some of them were able to overcome. A lot of them were able to overcome. Some of them were not. Which we'll see both sides of the stick to see good examples and bad examples. Let's go into Matthew chapter 4, 1 through 11. We'll see what give Christ as an example first. Matthew chapter 4, and we're going to start at verse 1. It says, Then was Jesus led up of the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted of the devil. And when he had fasted 40 days and 40 nights, he was afterward and hungered. So Christ was led up in the wilderness to be tempted. And he fasted 40 days and 40 nights. So just think about that. You know how it is for us when we fast for the Day of Atonement. That's just 24 hours. Christ fasted 40 days and 40 nights. So you can just imagine how weak he was. And he said, and when the tempter came to him, he said, if thou be the Son of God, command that these stones be made bread. So let me tell you how Satan works. He was up there 40 days and 40 nights. He waited till after all them days to go. I mean, he probably tipped some through in. But this story is showing us that he tried to get him at his lowest and weakest point. When this man was hungry, he done fasted this long. And he told him, look, if you the Son of God, if you Christ, he said, go ahead and command them stones to be made bread. That way you can go ahead and eat. But he answered and said, so Christ said back, he said, it is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeded out of the mouth of God. So he's showing them, he said, look, we don't live by bread alone. It's more important for me to get my mission done and for me to do what I'm supposed to do. He said than to be worried about that bread. So, you got to be about the Most High's business over everything. There's certain times where you may have to really get in your word and get in your scriptures and not be worried about. You should get to that point sometimes. Like, you should find yourself where you studying and hours that pass by and you like, oh snap, I ain't even ate that. Because you so worried about getting that real bread, that spiritual bread. So verse 5, he said, then the devil taketh him up into the holy city and setteth him on a pinnacle of the temple. So just pay attention to how the story is going. So he tried to tempt him. Lord and Christ gave him a scripture. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeded out of my God. But did the devil stop there? No. Look, it says he taken him up in the holy city. Then he set him up on the pinnacle of the temple and saith unto him, if thou be the Son of God, cast thyself down, for it is written, he shall give his angels charge concerning thee, and in their hands they shall bear thee up, lest at any time thou dash thy foot against a stone. So as you can see right here, what's going on? He said, look, if you're the Son of God, he said, cast yourself down, bring yourself down from here. He said, because it's written. So for it is written means what? It's in the scriptures. Yeah. So showing you that even the devil will try to use scriptures on you. You got to be aware of that. There's when you're dealing with somebody that's not in the truth, that may be still in the worldly Christian views, or somebody that maybe is in the truth and just be trying to twist scriptures anyway. Because you got some people like that. You have to understand that the devil even knows scriptures. That's why it's important for you. Matter of fact, let's go to the precept real quick. We'll come back to this, so hold that spot. Go to James chapter 2 and verse 19. Gonna get the precept on that. James 2 and 19. So James chapter 2 and 19 says this, thou believest that there is one God, thou doest well. The devils also believe and tremble. Showing you what? The devils believe in the Bible. They know what's up. They know the truth of the word. And that spirit, the devil knows. So you got to know who you're dealing with. And you can't be slothful in this walk. That's why it's important for you to study, for you to get in your word, because people going to try to trip you up. Let's go just to the next precept also, 2 Timothy 2 and 15. This is why this verse is important that we're about to read. Second Timothy 2 and 15. It says, study to show thyself approved unto God, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. So guess what? In order to rightly divide the word of truth, what must you do?
You have to read the word.
But what is the word that says, the first word it says in that sentence?
Oh, you have to study.
To study. You got to study. Because reading and studying is two different things. You can read anything, but if you are you getting you might not be getting the comprehension of it. You might not be taking it precept upon precept like it's supposed to be. Anybody, there's been plenty of people that read the Bible and got a basic understanding of some of the stories that go on, but they don't understand the deep secrets of the Bible, and it's because they don't study to show thyself approved. That's what we must do. When you studying for tests at school or whatnot, you can't just go read it one time and think you know it. You gotta read multiple over and over and over and over again. You gotta go back to certain things you may not understand. And each time you go back, you may learn something new. That's what studying is. When we study in this word, as you can see within Israel, we look into history. We looking in other books that may be out that's lined up with the word. Ultimately, we use the Bible as the source, of course, for everything to explain all truth. But there's a lot of other documents and resources to use to complement and to substantiate the word. So this is why this verse is so important, because even the devil knows scripture. So when you go, let's go back to Matthew, and we're gonna read verse 6 one more time with that understanding. So now it says, and saith unto him, if thou be the Son of God, cast thyself down, for it is written, he shall give his angels charge concerning thee, and in their hands they shall bear thee up, lest at any time thou dash thy foot against a stone. So again, he tested him. But what did Christ say? Jesus said unto him, it is written again, thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God. So Christ kept coming. He's like, look, man, I'm not tempting the Most High. That's what it say that in the word too. So obviously what? The devil is going to try to use scripture, but they're going to use it out of content. Of course it says certain things. It says, what does it say? The one about the eating unclean foods that they try to use, saying all you gotta do is give thanksgiving to all things are clean. If you give thanksgiving, that's they don't understand the scriptures. So of course anybody can just read that. Yeah, the Bible actually does say that. And what's another one we just had a lesson on? John 3:16. Yeah, it does say, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son. Yeah, it does say that. But do you have the proper understanding of that verse? Do you have the context to understand what it's talking about? So yeah, the devil can come in many different ways, and he will try to use scripture against you. But again, Christ kept coming. He said, nah, thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God. Now verse 8. Again, so the devil didn't stop. He said, the devil taketh him up into an exceeding high mountain, and showeth him all the kingdoms of the world and the glory of them. So he just tells us, look at all the kingdoms of the world. He saith unto him, all these things will I give thee, if thou wilt fall down and worship me. That's good. I mean, we see that in the entertainment world. They do that to them brothers. They take them up. Look, man, we'll give you all this: the money, the fame, the women, the cars, the clothes. All you gotta do is fall down and worship me. You can't be keeping the laws and commandments. You gotta do what I tell you to do. But let's see what Christ said, verse 10. Then says Jesus unto him, get thee hence, Satan, for it is written, thou shalt worship the Lord thy God, and him only shalt thou serve. So it's not worth it. Christ is showing you that example that the world, all the things of the world, and these kingdoms of the world, and everything that's in it ain't worth you losing the true kingdom of God over it.
Yeah, sometimes in the NBA, there's some players that have like triangles on some part of their body or like in their shoes.
Yep. A lot of that stuff is symbolism showing you that they got the mark of the beast on them. And it's something that's even admitted it. But like I said, the devil kept coming at Christ. And Christ every time combated him with scriptures, combated him with the word. Because Christ knew the word. He was able to rightly divide the word of truth. So he knew if he tried to come with a precept that he knew didn't fit, Christ would come back. But it said right here, thou shalt worship the Lord thy God, and him only shalt thou serve. So verse 11 says, then the devil leaveth him, and behold, angels came and ministered unto him. So look, the devil said, man, look, I can't mess with him. He left. He got up out of there. He said, then behold, the angels came and ministered unto him. They came and was helping him out at that point because he was weak. So once the devil leaves, so it's showing you that Christ overcame this temptation. And then afterwards, how the angels came and ministered unto him, and was doing a service to him. Yeah, that's how they were being servants, helping them out, supply food, necessities of life. That's what ministering is. So remember, he was at his weakest point. Once he overcame that, then the Lord sent the angels to help build him back up. So this is a perfect example showing you how to combat that temptation that's gonna come from the devil. So let's read James chapter 4. Let's go to James chapter 4. And we're gonna start at verse 7. Read down to 10. We're still in the New Testament. James 4 and verse 7. Submit yourselves therefore to God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. We just saw that, right? We just saw how when Christ kept coming with scriptures and kept resisting the devil, that guess what? He fled at that point. He was like, all right, I'm done. I can't penetrate him at this time. I'm gonna come back later. Because the devil will come back. He ain't just gonna just leave. He might leave for a season, but it's gonna come back again. We're gonna try to test you again. He's just gonna try to get you in another weak point. But that's what the Christ did. He submitted himself to the Most High, and then he resisted the devil. Verse 8, it says, draw nigh to God, which means draw near to God, and he will draw nigh to you. Cleanse your hands, ye sinners, and purify your hearts, ye double-minded. So again, going back to that being sober and being vigilant, you got to clean your hands, meaning the works that you're doing, you need to make sure that they're righteous works and not evil works. And then you need to purify your heart, which is your mind, showing you, because it says ye double-minded. You can't be out here serving the Most High and the devil at the same time. There's no way. You're going to give in to one or the other. You can't be tossed around to different doctrines. One minute you think this is okay, one minute you don't think that's okay. You got to be strong and steadfast in the faith. Verse 9, it says, be afflicted and mourn and weep. Let your laughter be turned to mourning and your joy to heaviness. Humble yourselves in the sight of the Lord, and he shall lift you up. So that's the whole point of all of that. That's why fasting is a way of afflicting yourself. And when you mourning means to be in heaviness or be in sadness, meaning you see what's going on around you. You may be at the time, may not be going through something, but you looking and seeing your brothers and sisters going through stuff. You shouldn't be just out here just laughing it up and just thinking everything's all good, which a lot of our people do. They think, well, I'm okay, I'm good. I don't know about that, brother, but I'm good. Well, guess what? The Lord he dealing with us as a nation. So it's better that the more people that you try to save souls, try to help the next brother deal with his situation, that's better for the nation. It says the whole point is to humble yourselves. Don't get big-headed. Don't let your pride get in the way. It says once you do that, then he shall lift you up. So when you go into that temptation, that's what it is. It's a humbling experience. That's what people call it. When you're going through things that's going to later on down the road. Now you understand it can be a testimony for somebody else. Let's go to Ephesians chapter 6, 10 through 12. Ephesians 6, 10 through 12. So we're still in the New Testament. So Ephesians 6, start at verse 10. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. So be strong. It says 11, put on the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. So we got to arm ourselves to withstand what we going through on a day-to-day basis, which is verse 12 showing you. It's saying, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood. So this the type of war, the type of armor that you about to put on is not for like a flesh and blood war. It's not to get out here and start going WWE on somebody or whatever. It ain't none of that. He said, but it's against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. This is the things that we fighting against. The wiles of the devil, meaning what? Let's click on wiles. The cunning arts, the deceit, the trickery, the craft, like she said. That's why we have to arm ourselves in these scriptures. You have to constantly study and keep these things in your back pocket. Because that's what's going to be that's going to save you in the end. When you see that temptation or that sin about to creep up, you can block it and dodge it and combat it before it takes hold of you. Because we're wrestling against these things. Principalities, let's click on that. It says a commencement or a commencement, chief various application, beginning corner, magistrate, power. So the rulers of this world, the powers of this world, the rulers of the darkness, which is the devil really, because I mean the devil is the ruler of the dark world. And it says against spiritual wickedness in high places, which is going on in a lot of these churches too. You got spiritual wickedness. So we got to be able to fight against these things. That's what we're going against. So let's go to, we're going to find some examples now of when some of people in the scriptures where you don't want to, these are bad examples, but they're examples nonetheless of what not to do in a situation. So Genesis 4:3-9. Going back to the beginning. Genesis chapter 4, verses 3-9. So it reads, in the process of time it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord. And Abel, he also brought of the firstlings of his flock and of the fat thereof. And the Lord had respect unto Abel and to his offering. But unto Cain and to his offering he had not respect. And Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell. So it's a story of Cain and Abel. They both gave an offering. Cain just gave him a little something. Abel gave him the best of what he had. Cain just gave him, he didn't give him the best. He just was trying to, give him he wasn't giving everything that he could have gave. This is what the story is trying to convey to us. But he said Cain was mad about it. He was mad that the Lord didn't have respect or didn't really accept his offering like that. And he said his countenance fell. Verse 6. It says, and the Lord said unto Cain, why art thou wroth? And why is thy countenance fallen? So he's like, what you mad at? Verse 7. He says, if thou doest well, shalt thou not be accepted? So obviously what he did wasn't well with the Most High. Showing you that. Because he said, look, man, if you do well, you're gonna be accepted. He said, if thou doest not well, sin lieth at the door, and unto these shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him. Meaning that sin is gonna be lying there at the door if you don't do well. Unto you, you're gonna desire that sin, and then it's gonna rule over you. Because you're not doing what's right. You're allowing that sin to creep in. So he's giving him correction. He's like, look, Cain, this is all you got to do. But we're going to see how Cain took it. It says, verse 8, and Cain talked with Abel his brother, and it came to pass, when they were in the field, that Cain rose up against Abel his brother and slew him. So Cain ended up killing his brother Abel. He didn't take that correction. He didn't take it. He didn't, that temptation that was put in his face, he allowed that to take over. And that's another thing that we got to be mindful of. When the Lord is trying to give us correction, we got to understand it and then be able to take it and turn it into something positive. Cain could have easily took that and said, you know what, you're right. I got to just do right from here on out. Let me try to maybe get with my brother Abel and see how he overcame or how he's able to be faithful. Instead, he slew him. So verse 9. And the Lord said unto Cain, where is Abel thy brother? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper? So then he lied. So that's how sin does. You do one thing, then it turns into another sin, and into another sin. Sin just adds upon sin. So he killed his brother and he lied to the Most High about it, trying to act like he didn't know what was going on. All because he couldn't take that correction. That temptation overcame him. He had that envious and hatred in his heart after he saw that the Most High didn't have respect under his offering. And that can be manifested in a lot of different ways. And you see that and you may see that in regular churches or congregations, just in life, period. How the Lord may be dealing with a certain person or a certain family or whatnot, whatever it is. It may be dealing with them on a level that He's not dealing with you on. But you can't be envious and mad at them. You gotta look at yourself and say, what am I doing wrong? It's something the Lord is telling you something you ain't doing. The reason you maybe can't, He ain't dealing with you on that level yet. So you need to take that as a learning experience and say, all right, let me use this to better myself, instead of hating on the next person and saying I gotta look the way that it may not be murder them, but you may have hatred in your heart to where you want to slander their name or whatever. They don't really keep the commandments. They be doing this. They be doing that. Just lying on people. And you see that a lot today with our people. So let's go to another example. Acts chapter 5. Acts chapter 5. This is in the New Testament. We're going to start at verse 1 and read down. So Acts 5, it reads, but a certain man named Ananias, with Sapphira his wife, sold a possession and kept back part of the price. His wife also being privy to it and brought a certain part and laid it at the apostles' feet. So you got a man and his wife, they sold a possession. And so it says they kept back part of the price. What's that mean?
They didn't give them all of it.
Right. So they kept some back for themselves. That wasn't the agreement. If you read I believe it was the chapter before that. Yeah, if you read the chapter before, it'll show you that everybody was supposed to sell their possession, what they had, and they was gonna bring it to the table. So it says these two though sold it, kept back some of it, like we're gonna keep some of this for ourselves. What does that remind you of though? What we just read about Cain, right? Mm-hmm. Cain didn't want to give his best. Cain said, I'm going to keep a little bit of this. I'm going to give the Lord this. I ain't going to give him my all. I'm going to give him just a little bit. So he's showing you. It's different examples, but the same temptation and sin that's creeping in. So it says they brought a certain part, laid it at the apostles' feet. It said, but Peter said, Ananias, why have Satan filled thine heart to lie to the Holy Ghost and to keep back part of the price of the land? So he peeped what he was doing. He like, why you sitting over here letting Satan, that evil spirit, fill your heart or your mind to lie to the Holy Ghost? Meaning, you knew what the agreement was. You trying to act like you doing something, like you ain't doing nothing wrong. Just like Cain. Look, Cain did the same thing. Well, what you talking about, Lord? I ain't do nothing. I thought I gave you the best or whatever. Same thing. Verse 4. It says, whilst it remained, was it not thine own? He said, while you had it, wasn't it yours? He said, and after it was sold, was it not in thine own power? He says, why hast thou conceived this thing in thine heart? Thou hast not lied unto men, but unto God. So when you over here thinking you doing something against somebody else, you ain't doing nothing to them. You doing that to the Most High. You got to understand that. Verse 5. So it says, and Ananias, hearing these words, fell down and gave up the ghost. The man died on the spot. It says, and great fear came on all them that heard these things. So look, Lord be using people as examples sometimes, man. You got to understand that. So, and don't forget his wife was in on it too. I think we're going to read on. Yo, let's read on. It says, and the young men arose, wound him up, and carried him out and buried him. And it was about the space of 3 hours after, when his wife, not knowing what was done, came in. So his wife came in next. She didn't even know what just happened. Peter answered unto her, tell me whether ye sold the land He said, tell me whether you sold the land for so much. And she said, yeah, for so much. Like he was like, tell me how much you sold that land for. He's like, oh yeah, we sold it for the price we said we were gonna sell it for. And Peter said unto her, how is it that ye have agreed together to tempt the Spirit of the Lord? He said, behold, the feet of them which have buried thy husband are at the door and shall carry thee out. So he's saying, look, how you gonna sit up here and lie like that? He said, y'all over here tempting the Spirit of the Lord, and you was in agreement with him. Because guess what? She had an opportunity. Whoever started the whole notion, it said Ananias did it, and she was privy to it. So she knew what he was doing, but didn't stop him and say, hey, you about to commit some sin. Don't do that, man. It's not worth it. We're not going to do that. We're going to do it the righteous way. I know that's how you should be thinking. In your mindset, it'd be like, it may be an opportunity for somebody. Somebody drop $100 or something in your face, and you see that person. You know they probably need that money, and you like, shh, take that real quick. Ain't nobody gonna see it. And somebody see you do it, and they like, shh, hey, look, you give me half. I ain't tripping. I won't say nothing. Y'all both privy, man. That person be like, man, that man might need that money. Man, get that money. Get that money to him. You gotta have that mindset. Don't be sitting up here in agreement with people doing evil stuff. Because you're going to be just in the wrong too, as you can see. He said, because he told her, he said, look, you see them men over there at the door? They just carried your husband away. They're about to carry you out too. So verse 10 said, then she fell down straightway at his feet and yielded up the ghost. So she died too. It says, and the young man came in, found her dead, and carrying her forth, buried her by her husband. And great fear came upon all the church, and upon as many as heard these things. So that fear went on these people. They knew, man, this was nothing to play with. So it's another example showing you how they was tempting the Lord. They fell into that temptation, being greedy and just not being in the right spirit. Let's move on. Let's go to 1 Corinthians 7, 3 through 5. We're gonna go into the example where Satan gets busy. Like my wife always says, Satan gets busy. So 1 Corinthians 7, and we're going to start at verse 3. So it reads. So we need to pay attention to these things because these are things that go on in our lives and people go through, or that's just opportunities for the devil to try to creep in. So it says, verse 3, let the husband render unto the wife due benevolence, and likewise also the wife unto the husband. The wife hath not power over her own body, but the husband. And likewise also the husband hath not power over his own body, but the wife. Defraud ye not one the other, except it be with consent for a time, that ye may give yourselves to fasting and prayer. So those are the times when y'all are in agreement. It says y'all will be in consent to give yourselves to fasting and prayer. You're not worried about the due benevolence at that time. You fasting and praying. It says, and come together again, that Satan tempt you not for your incontinency. So let's get into these words. Verse 3 again. It says, let the husband render unto the wife due benevolence. Let's click on that. Goodwill, kindness. So you need to be doing good to your wife. I'm sorry, yeah. The husband needs to render that to his wife. Likewise, the wife unto the husband. Because guess what? Neither one of y'all have power over your own. It says the wife have not power over her own body, but the husband. So, and then likewise, the husband have not power over his own body, but the wife. So treat each other like you want to be treated. Don't be over here doing each other in, defrauding each other. That can go into sex. I'm sorry. It can go into that. It can go into just other things also in the marriage. Treating each other, talking to each other wrong, whatnot. But it says, defraud ye not one another, except it be with consent for a time, that you may give yourselves to fasting and prayer. Because guess what? If you're defrauding each other and you're going through something in your marriage, those are the times when Satan is going to try to tempt you. So let's click on that incontinency. Want of self-restraint, self-control, and temperance. He's gonna try to get you during those times when you're intemperate and you're lacking at that moment. So it's why I think we're gonna read that verse also, but it's why it says don't let the sun go down in your anger and things like that. Because y'all need to get over that, whatever it is y'all going through. Because those are the times when the devil gonna try to creep in. Say you walking around mad at your husband or mad at your wife for 2, 3, 4 days, and it's just lingering and lingering. That's when the devil gonna come in and try to get you. He gonna send that pretty little thing, or that handsome man in your life. It's gonna walk in and be trying to sweet talk you on the cool, knowing that you're going through something. They gonna, oh, what's up? You going through something? What's wrong? Oh, your husband did that for real? Or your wife did that for real? Bam. That's how many brothers and sisters get caught up. Because they sitting up there letting each other go day in and day out without trying to correct the issue. Not living according to the word. So this is a time when the devil gets busy. Let's go to Sirach 28. Sirach 28, we're going to read 1 through 5. Yeah. 1 through 5. It says, he that revengeth shall find vengeance from the Lord, and he will surely keep his sins in remembrance. So this is going into what? Forgiveness. Going into trying to pay back people for something they may be done to you. Verse 2 says, forgive thy neighbor the hurt that he have done unto thee. So shall thy sins also be forgiven when thou prayest. Because guess what? People gonna do you wrong. You done people wrong. But you gotta have a forgiving spirit, a forgiving heart. Because when you try to revenge something to your brother or sister, you gonna get vengeance from the Lord. And he gonna remember your sins, just like you remembering their sins. So I'm not saying it's always easy, but you gotta do it. You gotta train yourself up to do that. Somebody took something from you or may have said something crazy to you, you gotta be able to just overlook that sometimes and be like, you know what, just forgive. Because when it's talking about forgive your neighbor, we know who it's talking about. It's talking about our people. I mean, we shouldn't even be too much worried about what the other nations doing anyway. They meant to do you wrong. The Lord is using them to do harm on to chasten us and to correct us right now. He's using them as the belt to whoop us. So we shouldn't even be worried about them because they don't do that. They do not have your best interests at heart. So we're not even talking about other nations right now. We're talking about your brothers and sisters. Whether it's in the truth, outside the truth, you need to forgive. Verse 3. One man beareth hatred against another, and doth he seek pardon from the Lord? So it says you got a man sitting up here that's bearing hatred in his heart for another, but at the same time, you trying to seek pardon from the Lord? You hoping that he forgive your sin, but you won't even forgive your brother or something. And you done way worse to the Lord. This brother probably stepped on your shoe or something, or said he didn't like your outfit, or somebody said they didn't like your outfit, and you mad about that. I don't like the way they said that to me. I don't like it. And you just hold it on to that and quit bearing hatred in your heart over something stupid. Let that go. And because how that's looking, you praying every night asking the Lord to forgive you, and you can't even forgive that person for these small things they done to you. And your mind is big, but to the Lord, you're like, man, you done served other gods, and you sit up here mad at them for that. Come on. Verse 4 says, he showeth no mercy to a man, which is like himself. So it's talking about this same man bearing hatred. You ain't showing no mercy to this man. He said, and doth he ask forgiveness of his own sins? If he that is but flesh nourish hatred, who will entreat for pardon of his sins? So that's your flesh is bearing that hatred. It's nourishing that hatred. So you got to show mercy. Be merciful, forgive, just like the Lord is merciful and forgives us. And that's if we apply that commandment within our communities, that'll solve a lot of killings and black on black crimes and all of that. Because that's what goes on in the ghettos, in the hoods. Brother mad because he done, like you said, somebody may have stepped on your shoe at the club or something. Now I got to get that dude. He tried to get me at the club. He tried to embarrass me. He thought I was a punk. I got to go kill him now. Boom. Then it goes on and on and on. Next person, this brother killed my friend. Now I got to kill two of his friends. Boom. It's just going back and forth, back and forth. Because y'all not showing mercy. Let's go to Second Corinthians chapter 2. 2 Corinthians chapter 2. I think it says we're starting in verse 7. And we're reading down to 11. These are times when the devil gets busy. So we talked about in your marriage, talked about having vengeance, not forgiving your brothers and sisters. This is going into that also. Verse 7. So that contrariwise ye ought rather to forgive him and comfort him, lest perhaps such a one should be swallowed up with overmuch sorrow. So you need to be able to forgive and comfort the person that made them wrong. Look, sorry, I understand you didn't mean to do that. It was a mistake. It's cool. Let's get past this. It says, lest perhaps a one should be swallowed up with overmuch sorrow. Sometimes you cause a brother or sister to be so sorrowful that they just literally fall out the face because they like, man, my own brother won't even forgive me, man. He made me feel just horrible about this thing. Verse 8, it says, wherefore I beseech you that you will confirm your love toward him. So you need to confirm your love toward that brother and sister. For to this end also did I write, that I might know the proof of you, whether ye be obedient in all things. To whom ye forgive anything, I forgive also. For if I forgave anything to whom I forgave it, for your sakes forgave I it in the person of Christ. So Paul is saying, if you good with it, I'm good with it. You forget that brother, I forget that brother. You know, because there's a lot of people like that somebody do somebody else wrong and they hold more of a grudge on that person than the person they did it to. I've seen that before. They like, man, how you dealing with that brother? He did you like that, man. I forgave him. It is what it is, man. He made a mistake. That's how Paul was. He like, look, if you forgive him, I forgive him. If you cool, it's cool with me. Verse 11, it says, lest Satan should get an advantage of us. Because this is an opportunity when Satan will try to take advantage of you. When you at odds with somebody. He said, for we are not ignorant of his devices. We going over his devices. Let's click on that. The way he thinks, his purpose. This is what we finding out. The devil operates in these moments. He's saying if you don't forgive and if you don't confirm your love toward your brother or have that heart to want to forgive, Satan like, yeah, he mad right now. I'm gonna make him do something real stupid in just a minute. That's when Satan trying to get busy, and you gotta understand that. So if you find yourself getting so mad about something, that's Satan. The devil might be on you at that point. You gotta be like, whoa, hold on. Let me shake the devil off real quick, and make him and understand that this brother just made a mistake. So let's go to Psalm 73. Psalm 73, verses 1 through 3. So it's King David. So it reads, truly God is good to Israel. Said he's good to Israel, and even to such as are of a clean heart. So you have a clean mind. Your mind is clear. You're sober. You're vigilant. He said, but as for me, this is David talking. He said, but as for me, my feet were almost gone. My steps had well nigh slipped. He's saying, look, I almost fell off. He said, for I was envious at the foolish when I saw the prosperity of the wicked. So we got to be mindful of that. Don't be envying the wicked out here. Because you'll mess around and you're going to fall into some temptation. You like, man, he got this. He's selling them drugs and doing that, and getting all that. I'm in. You gonna fall. Oh man, he got a woman like that just off of doing that. I'm in. you do something stupid. So David is being honest with himself. Guess what he did? He's applying the scripture that said to examine yourself. He said, I almost slipped. My feet was almost gone. Almost fell out. We got to have that mindset like David. Let's go to Sirach chapter 10. Sirach 10, 12, and 13. Back in the Apocrypha. Sirach 10. We said we're at 12 through 13. We got to worry about. It says the beginning of pride is when one departed from God and his heart is turned away from his maker. So the beginning, pride enters in when you start turning away from the laws and commandments, when you start turning away from his will. He said, verse 13, for pride is the beginning of sin. So pride first starts when it starts creeping in once you turn away from the Most High, you turn away from his law. He said, and then that sin comes in because the pride is the beginning of sin. And he that hath it shall pour out abomination. And therefore the Lord brought upon them strange calamities and overthrew them utterly. So we got to be mindful of that prideful spirit also. Because that's gonna bring sin into your life. And everything you do is going to pour out, it's going to be an abomination because you're prideful. He says the Lord going to start bringing strange calamities on you. Just a lot of trials and tribulations. He's going to overthrow you. Just because you're not humbling yourself. Let's go to Sirach 33 and 27. So another thing we got to watch out for. We're going to actually start at verse 25 and then read down to 27. So it says, if thou set thy servant to labor, thou shalt find rest. But if thou let him go idle, he shall seek liberty. So it's saying, if you set your servant, your worker, to labor, then he shall find rest. But if thou let him go idle, or let him be in an idle state, meaning he's not doing nothing, he shall seek liberty. A yoke and a collar do bow the neck. So are tortures and torments for an evil servant. These things happen to evil servants. Tortures and torments. Verse 27 is the key. It says, send him to labor that he be not idle, for idleness teacheth much evil. So idleness, that's another time when the devil gonna start trying to creep. You need to keep yourself busy doing positive and righteous things. What was that? Where was that?
27.
Verse 27. Send him to labor, that he be not idle. So that's why we must labor all the time and be doing the works of the Most High. You can't get lazy. Take off a few Sabbaths. I'm good. I don't learn enough. Because guess what? You get idle, you're going to want to find something to do. And that's when the devil's saying, you can go ahead and, why don't you go ahead and go downtown real quick. Go hit up the club. You ain't got nothing to do. You're going to start getting into stuff you ain't got no business to. That's why a lot of parents always, that's what they tell their kids. They try to keep their kids busy doing stuff. Because when you start, the kids that's out in these streets, that's in these gangs, and start doing craziness and sinning and doing all that, those be the ones that ain't got nothing else to do. Their parents is working all the time, probably not in the household. They can't really watch them like that, so they just left to their own devices. And they start getting into foolishness. That's why we must keep y'all in the word. Keep doing these lessons. Keep trying to give y'all little nuggets and things to think about. So this is another example of how Satan get busy during them times. Let's go on to Ephesians chapter 4, 26. It says, don't leave the window open. Go see what we're talking about here. Ephesians 4 and 26. What we just talked about. It says, be ye angry and sin not. Let not the sun go down upon your wrath. Neither give place to the devil. So it's talking about anger. Again, don't let anger consume you. Don't be caught up being mad at something. Because all you're going to do is you're giving the devil an opportunity to take you out and to take you out of the spirit. Let evil spirits creep in. So if you're mad about something, and we all got to work, I got to work on it. If something that your wife do, your spouse do, a friend do, your kids do, don't go to bed mad about that all night and then wake up the next day and it's still on your mind. Address it, get over it, forget, let it go, and let's move on. We got things we trying to accomplish in life. Number one, get the kingdom, but also build y'all up in the spirit, teach y'all things so when we gone, y'all can take the mantle from there.
Verse 32.
Sorry.
Verse 32.
Verse 32 reads, and be ye kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as God for Christ's sake hath forgiven you. So back into the forgiveness also. This whole, from that point down, is talking about not being bitter and being kind to each other, not being angry, evil speaking of each other, having that malice in your heart. Because a lot of our people are like that. They just negative, man. It's always something with them. So you don't want to be that person. Let's go to Proverbs 25 and 28. It says, rule your spirit. Proverbs chapter 25 and verse 28. So it reads, he that hath no rule over his own spirit is like a city that is broken down and without walls. So he that hath no rule, meaning he can't control his own spirit, is like a city that's broken down and without walls. So think about that anger that we were just talking about. When you get angry, what happens?
You like, you do foolish things.
You do foolish things. You your mind right. You start saying stuff you don't want to say, doing stuff you don't want to do. It's crazy, man. That anger take control of you. And it's like he said, it's like a city that's broken down without walls. The devil is easily able to creep in at that point. That's why we have to build up our spirit. You building up that defense against the devil and them evil spirits coming on you. That's why it's always good to stop and think before you do something. You gotta be temperate, especially if you plan on being a leader. If you want to be a leader, you can't be no emotional person like that to where just all it takes is for somebody to say one thing and you going off there, you flying off the handles. Like it's people like we got people that's like that, man. They just too emotional. Grown men sit up here and be going wild over something somebody say. People gonna say things, man. You gotta just be able to take that. They don't understand what you're going through. They don't understand this truth. Not everybody. So be able to rule your spirit. Let's go to Matthew chapter 12, 43 through 45. It's all good scriptures and precepts to keep in the bag to help you go through these temptations that you're going to face.
This is Christ talking, right?
This is Christ, yes, in red. So he said, verse 43, when the unclean spirit is gone out of a man, He walketh through dry places, seeking rest, and findeth none. So it's showing you, look, a man, he's got, the unclean spirit is gone out of him. He done overcame. He good at this point. Verse 44. It says, then he saith, this is the he saith is the unclean spirit is gonna say, I will return into my house whence I came out. Saying out of you. He said, look, I'm gonna return, showing you that them spirits, yeah, you can overcome them, but they gonna come back. They gonna try to come back and enter into you. He said, I'm sorry. He said, and when he is come, and he findeth it empty, swept and garnished. So he done seen you overcome. He seen that you done overcame, and doing good. You keeping the commandments. He said your inside is clean. Your house is your temple. Your body, your mind. Your mind is clean. You doing good. That's the time when the devil's trying to come in too. He trying to come in and get you, knowing that you're doing right. Verse 45, it says, then goeth he and taketh with himself 7 other spirits, more wicked than himself. So he like, look, we gotta get in here and mess some stuff up in his life. We gotta shake him up. This man too bro. That's what the devil's trying to do, trying to shake up the righteous. He said, and they enter in and dwell there. And the last state of that man is worse than the first. Even so shall it be also unto this wicked generation. So showing you that it'll turn out even worse the second time around. Because the devil keep on back, and he gonna tempt you more and more, just like Christ, right? When he was on that in the wilderness, 40 days, 40 nights, the devil said, look, turn that stone into bread. And Christ said, nah. And he said, okay. Took him up to the pinnacle. He said, look, cast yourself down from here. He said, nah. Took him to the top. He said, a high mountain. He said, look, the world is yours. All you gotta do is worship me. So he's gonna keep coming with more and more, and it's gonna be harder and harder temptations out there that's gonna come. That's why in this walk you gotta be patient, be able to endure, gotta be building up your spirit the whole time. Because these things are gonna happen. Let's go to Proverbs 24 and 16. Proverbs 24 and 16. So it reads, for a just man falleth 7 times and riseth up again. He shall fall into mischief. So look, you gonna fall, man. But what are you gonna do when you fall, when temptation do hit? You gonna rise up. That's what a just man gonna do, or a just sister gonna do. They gonna rise up. It says, but the wicked gonna fall into it. They just gonna fall and they ain't gonna get back up. That's what the wicked do. So just understand that, yeah, you're not perfect. You ain't Christ. You're trying to be Christ-like, and you're using him as an example to try to get the kingdom. But guess what? We human. We in this body still. We're not in our immortal bodies. We in these mortal bodies. So you gonna fall. But he said a just man gonna fall 7 times and gonna rise up again each time. He ain't gonna let him take him out. He ain't gonna just fall into it and say, man, I'm done with this Bible stuff. I'm done. I done went through too much. I can't do it no more. I'm just gonna live my life and die. That's just how some people think.
Stay the course.
Gotta stay the course. Because guess what? It's just like sports in a game. We use these analogies. It may be a time where you down 10 in the game. Do you stop playing? No. You keep hooping. You see it in this, what was it, the Super Bowl? Boy, it was down 20-something points the year before this last one. Down 20-something points and come back. You can be literally down and look, just like Job. Job was down and out. He stayed the course. That's why we use these as examples. So Genesis chapter 3. Let's go back to the beginning. It says on trial from the beginning. This is how it's always been. Genesis 3, 1 through 5. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field, which the Lord God had made. And he said unto the woman, yea, and God said, Ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden. So here come the devil, that evil spirit coming in with his trickery and his craftiness. And who did he go to? Said the woman. Verse 2 says, and the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God has said, ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. So she knew the commandment. Verse 4, it says, and the serpent said unto the woman, you shall not surely die. So he come in and say, you ain't gonna die. Don't worry about that. Verse 5, for God doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. So, using trickery again, trying to, the devil's tempted, went through the woman attempt to be, to make her go against the sin. And if you read the story, of course, down on, she did what she wasn't supposed to do, fell into the temptation, and then got Adam into it also. But just showing you from the beginning of time, these tests have been there. This was a test in the trial period it was going through. Let's go to Exodus 16 and 4. Exodus 16, verse 4. Then said the Lord unto Moses, behold, I will rain bread from heaven for you, and the people shall go out and gather a certain rate every day, that I may prove them whether they will walk in my law or no. So he said, look, I'm going to rain bread from the heaven. He said, because remember, they was complaining about being hungry in the wilderness. And he said, all I need y'all to do is go out there and just gather a certain amount. He gave them what they were supposed to gather every day. He said that was a test. He said it was to prove them. So every time you see that it was to prove them, it's saying to test, to try, to tempt. To see if y'all was going to do what I'm going to tell y'all to do. Whether they will walk in my law or not. That's what we go through every day. These things these temptations, these times where our faith is tested, he's just trying to see if you're going to be righteous, if you're going to be faithful, going to hold true to the word. So what you going to do? Let's go to Deuteronomy 8, verse 2. Another verse on that. It says, and thou shalt remember all the way which the Lord thy God led thee these 40 years in the wilderness. He did it to humble thee and to prove thee, to know what was in thine heart, whether thou wouldest keep his commandments or not. So that's why he didn't just give them the promise. He didn't just take them straight to the promised land. He said he took them to the wilderness all that time because he had to humble them because they was too prideful. Had to humble them, had to test them, make sure and he had to see what was in their heart. He got to see what you really about. Because if you just give somebody something, you can't really see what they about. You got to go through some stuff with them to see, all right, this is how I know you. That's how you test for the younger brothers and sisters out here that's getting older and want to get a wife or a husband. You don't just go out and just go marry somebody right off the bat. You gotta see what's in their heart. Gotta see if they down or not. Are you down to keep these commandments? Are you gonna be there to pick me up when I'm down, vice versa? You gotta do that. You gotta prove your friends. Everybody do that. So the Lord is doing that to us. You'd be a fool to just go out here and just trust in everybody just off the bat. You gotta kind of prove people and see what they're about. And you find out more about somebody when they're going through something. So let's go to Sirach chapter 2, 1 through 5. It says, prepare thyself. Sirach 2. It says, my son, if thou come to serve the Lord, which everybody is what we trying to do, it says, prepare thy soul for temptation. So the Lord is letting you know off the back, if you're going to serve me, you just better prepare yourself for temptation because it's going to come. He says, set thy heart aright and constantly endure and make not haste in time of trouble. Cleave unto him and depart not away, that thou mayest be increased at thy last end. Whatsoever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully. Wow. I'm going to read that again. It says, whatsoever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully. So we must, when you going through a hard time, don't be out here cursing the Most High. Don't be out here, oh man, you just complain, I can't believe this. You done forgot that everything you got was given to you of the Most High. So look, if you do bring something on you, if you're going through a little hard time, you may not have as much money as you want, you don't have the car you want, you ain't in the house you want, you ain't got the job you want. Look, take those things cheerfully. It says, and be patient when thou art changed to a lower state. The Lord is bringing you down for a reason. He's trying to humble you. He's trying to prove you, like we just read. Verse 5 is going to tell it all. It says, for gold is tried in the fire. So he's comparing you to gold. We are his precious metals. We are his precious treasures. That's how he looks at the nation of Israel. He said, gold is tried in a fire and acceptable men in the furnace of adversity. That's how you know if somebody's acceptable. When they go through that adversity and they come out on top. So this is a heavy scripture right here. It's a lot that's going on in just these 5 verses. You must prepare your soul to be tempted. That's why you got to build your spirit up. Stay in the scriptures. You got to set your heart right. You got to constantly be able to endure. Be able to stay the course. Be patient. You might not have what you want right now, but just be patient. Don't depart away from the commandments. Don't give up. Don't give in. And take what comes on you cheerfully. Just understand that it's a test. You got to be able to understand that and know that. Don't be so ignorant to be like, man, why this got to happen to me? Well, he's testing you. Duh. Come on. Wake up. Let's go to 1 Peter. 1 Peter 1 and verse 7. Almost done. 1 Peter 1 and 7. We're going to keep reading the same thing, precept upon precept, where he's constantly telling you these things. So it says, that the trial of your faith, being much more precious than of gold that perisheth, though it be tried with fire, might be found unto praise and honor and glory at the appearing of Jesus Christ. So your faith is on trial every day. It may be certain days it'll be easier than others, but certain days going to be hard. He's trying you. That way you can be found under praise and honor and glory when Christ returns. Got to see if you're worthy. Let's go to 1 Peter 4 and 12. So still in the same book, just chapter 4, verse 12. This is a heavy verse also. He said, beloved, think it not strange concerning the fiery trial which is to try you, as though some strange thing happened to you. Hey, don't look at it as strange. You know why this is happening to you. Don't be like, man, why is this? I don't understand, Lord. Why me? You constantly asking, why me? And it's telling you, look, this ain't strange. This is a trial. This is a test. He was just trying to see if you're going to be obedient. You don't know how that bill going to get paid. You out here worrying and just, That's why the Lord tell you, be sober. Be mindful. We all have to be cognizant of these things. We got to be able to say, man, let me take that worry away. What is it? My mother-in-law says it. If you're going to pray, don't worry. If you're going to worry, don't pray. You can't be out here praying to the Most High, but at the same time worrying like he ain't going to take care of you. But if you're going to be doing that, there's no need of you praying because you double-minded. You out here, your faith ain't strong enough. So you got to be able to understand that. So he says, let's go to Zechariah chapter 13, verse 9. Back in the Old Testament. Zechariah 13, verse 9. So it says, and I will bring the third part through the fire. That third part is talking about the remnant that's going to be keeping the commandments. Remember, he said a third of our people is all that's going to make it. 2/3 going to die. Because they didn't want to keep the commandments. They couldn't endure to the end. So he said a third part through the fire, I will refine them as silver is refined, and will try them as gold is tried. They shall call on my name, and I will hear them. I will say, it is my people, and they shall say, the Lord is my God. So we're that third part, Israel, the remnant. We got to keep the commandments and just go through those tests. James chapter 1, verse 12. James chapter 1, verse 12. It says, blessed is the man that endureth temptation. Blessed is the man that endureth temptation. For when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life, which the Lord hath promised to them that love him. So look, you blessed when you go when you out here enduring that temptation. Whenever you get over a certain hurdle in your life that you've been fighting, you need to praise the Most High for that. Man, thank you, Lord. I didn't know how I was gonna get through that, but be staying in your word and just you brought me through it. Thank you. Give him all the praise. All praises to the Most High. It says, because when you're tried, you're gonna receive that crown of life. We trying to get that crown at the end. Let's go to Hebrews 12 and 4. Hebrews 12, verse 4. So it says, ye have not resisted unto blood, striving against sin. So think about that. What this verse is saying is, even all the temptations that you don't think you done been through, you ain't had to resist unto blood, like meaning you ain't put your life on the line yet. He said striving against sin. That ain't been the case. All the little stuff that we done been through it can't compare to some of the stuff that our forefathers went through. Yeah, they was having to literally go through it. We just working 12-hour shifts and working day and night, but you still able to come to the home and have something to eat, and we have people in the fields working day and night. They didn't get no food. You have people that had to die for this truth. So just always remember that. Even though you might be going through it, somebody going through it worse, and you ain't been put up to death yet, but you want to build yourself up to where if ever was a time where you had to choose death or the Lord, you're going to be strong enough to choose the Lord. It says, let's go to Job 23. Job 23, 10 through 12. It says, have confidence. So this is how we need to be thinking when we're going through what we're going through. Verse 10 says, but he knoweth the way that I take. When he hath tried me, I shall come forth as gold. We got to have that confidence in ourselves. Knowing that, look, keep it, look, I know we might not be where we at right now, but when we come out of this, man, we going to come out like gold. We're going to be shining after this. My foot hath held his steps. His way have I kept and not declined. Meaning I didn't turn away. I didn't depart. I prepared my soul for temptation, like it said in Sirach. Verse 12. Neither have I gone back from the commandment of his lips. I have esteemed the words of his mouth more than my necessary food. We talked about that today again. He said, I've esteemed the words of the Most High more than necessary food. You gotta eat. You gotta eat at some point because you need that energy. But he said the words of the Most High is more important than that. You gotta have that mindset. Last verse, 2nd Ezra 7, and start at verse 57. 2nd Ezra 7, verse 57 through 59. So it reads, Then answered he me, and said, This is the condition of the battle, which man that is born upon the earth shall fight. So look, this is just how the Lord made it. This is how he set it up. This is the condition of the battle. You got to go through stuff. That's just what it is. Especially as for Israel, we got to go through it. Our forefathers broke the commandments. We went into captivity, and it is what it is. If you want to get the kingdom, you better be ready to fight these temptations. You got to do it. Verse 58, it says that if he be overcome, he shall suffer as thou hast said. So if you let Satan overcome you, let sin overcome you, you're going to suffer. It says, but if he get the victory, he shall receive the thing that I say. For this is the life whereof Moses spake unto the people while he lived, saying, Choose thee life, that thou mayest live. So we've been learning, they've been telling us this from the beginning of the book to the end. You got to endure, you got to choose life over death. You got to choose the Most High over the devil. Quit letting the devil win. Quit giving him so much power over you to where you feel like, I can't do it. Because I hear that all the time, the devil. Well, look, the devil ain't the one that gave you no commandments. The Lord gave you the commandments. And if you keep in his commandments, you have power to resist the devil. And say, I'm not going to let him take control over me. I'm going to rule my spirit. So all in all, the whole point of the lesson, like we said, is that the devil's going to be seeking whom he may devour. Make sure you stay in these scriptures. That way you're aware of when it comes. You'll see it coming, and you'll be ready. So may the Lord add a reading to the blessing of his holy word, and shalom.